I'll write a little bit more about why I made that post on imposter syndrome. But I think a lot of people see it as like an actual syndrome, like something's wrong. Look, imposter syndrome is nothing more than a self-perspective or a perspective that you have on others' response to your work, your impact, and just what it is that you do. So it doesn't serve anyone, but it can inhibit you from achieving your full potential, right? So an example would be a lot of people who have imposter syndrome, they tend to be the ones that are very what's the word, like critical of themselves, because they're looking at it from a lens that may not be fully true, right? So like, let's say you're somebody who's looking to produce content, like you want to record videos like this. You may have this feeling that, you know what, like, am I worthy of recording this video? Am I worthy of advising people on this particular topic? Am I good enough? Let's say you're invited to a panel and you're looking at the other people who were invited and you're like, am I as successful as these other people? Am I on their level? And your mind's gonna tell you all types of stuff. So when you have imposter syndrome, I think whoever coined the term is definitely is genius. But at the same time, I think that it's an inflated term. It's an inflated term. Like, I don't think people really feel that they are like imposters. Like, it's not that negative. It's just they're not looking at it. They're not seeing the reality of certain things. Or conversely, maybe they are. But even so, that should drive them to do more and not less. The syndrome part makes you do less. So you don't want to accept those awards because you're like, look, I know they want to recognize me, but you know, I don't want that award because I don't feel worthy of it, right? You don't want to speak on a particular topic. You don't want to publish that or create that publishing because you don't feel like the expert. You don't feel like somebody that is that's in a position to be able to say that or to do that or to be that, you know. So yesterday I made a post and I said that someone will always pay you to achieve something that you did a couple steps ago. So if you are, let's say you are able to generate an extra $4,000 a month, someone will pay you to learn how to generate an extra $1,000. If you learned how to generate an extra $1,000, someone will pay you to learn how to generate $500. If you learned how to lose 20 pounds, someone will pay you to learn how to lose 10, to learn how to lose 5. So I've been having a lot of conversations, not just with clients and prospects, but just with friends. And I've been doing a lot of self-reflecting as well. And there are some things that I notice I don't do because I'm like, man, is what I want them to do or what I want them to perceive as my success big enough? Like when you hop on Instagram, when you hop on TikTok, when you hop on all of these platforms, what you're seeing is all these people are like, hey, do you want me to teach you how to make an extra $1 million a day? Click here, opt in. And so because of that, you become sort of numb to small successes. You start to say, well, damn, like everybody out here teaching all this big stuff, like I just want to teach people how to make an extra $1,000 a month. Like, that's not big enough, and so you just don't do it. You don't write that ebook. You don't create that mini course. You don't do that webinar. You don't do that little mastermind. You just don't do it because in your head you're thinking, well, I'm not good enough to be able to publish that. So that's the reason why, like, I made that post yesterday. I made that post today. I think we all, to an extent, have some level of like imposter syndrome on different levels. Like I know some people, and some may not admit it, I know some people that they generate a good amount of income, like their earnings are extremely high, and they feel extremely honored to be invited to a panel or to be invited on a podcast. And then I know others who, like, they get that attention, but they don't generate a lot of income. Like they get invited to every podcast, they get invited to every panel, they get invited to everything, and their earnings are not that high. So both people, one is short of financial capital, or one's short of social capital, the other one's short of financial capital. They both have some level of imposter syndrome. They both have some subconscious battle that they're fighting, where it's like I feel like I'm either not worthy, which is why I'm not consistently getting this, or they feel like, man, like, why am I not getting this? So it happens both ways. I don't think that this whole definition of imposter syndrome is flat. I think that it's pretty dynamic, and it's hard to put your finger on it. I don't think that there's an absolute to it. I think that the overall gist of imposter syndrome is for you to really identify, like, where you are and what you desire to do and to highlight and to express in order to achieve the impact that you want. So if you going out and getting all these nominations and getting awards and stuff like that, if that helps your ability to impact more, then do it, because you're not doing it for you. You're not doing it for your subconscious and your ego. You're doing it because it helps your cause. It helps your mission. There are plenty of entrepreneurs who, like, they get nominated for this stuff, and they go out and they get it because that gives them exposure, which enables them to increase their impact. Then I know others that they just like doing it. They just like getting awards for their ego. The ego doesn't serve you much. The ego doesn't serve you much, you know. So as long as you're doing certain things for others, then it's a selfless act, and it should minimize your imposter syndrome, because you shouldn't feel like an imposter if you know that you're doing something selflessly. You know, so many different angles to this. I was just talking to, texting. I was just texting Alex Nemo. He sent me a shirt through his brand Foolies. So I snagged one of his shirts. I may drop the link somewhere in the comments here, but it's about imposter syndrome. And in the conversation, I was like, yo, like, I might do like an event called like Imposter Syndrome Anonymous, and bring people onto, and do it virtually. Get people on a virtual call and just have people express, like, why they feel like they have imposter syndrome. What are some of the things that they've experienced that leads them to believe that they're experiencing some level of imposter syndrome, and then, you know, maybe having that be a platform to help them with celebrating their wins, no matter how big or small they are. They're still celebrating wins so that they can feel like, hey, you know what? I am taking steps towards achieving a mission. You know, so much to it. But either way, ain't nobody writing posts to get attention. I saw there was a comment that was like, this is like one of those posts that's like, hey, I'm getting on Facebook, nobody messaged me for 3 months. You know, so insinuating that, you know, I wrote this post to get attention. For those that know me, know I don't I don't need attention. I wrote this post because I know that there's a message, there's an underlying message in some of these terms, and I think that it can help people take action and move them towards being a bit more productive and just having a different viewpoint if they see that others, I mean, even if you just look at the comments, of the post that I made. Like a ton of people are like, yeah, me too, me too, me too. And it's not that everybody's like, oh my gosh, like I have imposter syndrome. It's not that. It's just I think that there's some level of underlying conflict that I think we have that if addressed, we're able to clearly identify what avenue we should take to achieve the level of impact that we want, you know. So a lot to unpack there, but let me know your thoughts.